Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the e-commerce world, and welcome to the first episode of Digital Junto. It's going to be a follow-up to our in-person digital jam sessions that we have here at CTC. Last night was our first one. We had about 25 people from around the county, digital marketing experts, other brand leaders, social media gurus, and then Peter. We're all there just talking about Black Friday and Cyber Monday and holiday strategies. So what we wanted to do was just try and bring together a collective of people that could just jam out on ideas for improving your holiday performance as a brand. And so last night the format of the event was everyone wrote a question. We dropped them in a hat, pulled them out, and had 5-minute discussions on each of the topics. So we got through about 7 or 8 awesome questions last night. There were some great ideas thrown out. Corey will link up a video to sort of an edited version of last night where you can look at those 7 questions, but there was a bunch of questions that we didn't get to. So today we wanted to sort of jump in this morning and try and answer about 3 or 4 more. You won't get the benefit of the entire group, you'll just get them from me, but hopefully we'll provide a little value and give you something that you can utilize for holiday. So, Peter, why don't you give us our first question, pulled out of the hat?
Yeah,
what do you got?
The first question is, what % of total holiday sales are on Cyber Monday versus Black Friday?
Great question. So, if we think about the upcoming holiday season, right, and starting earlier and earlier and earlier, Best Buy is already releasing some Black Friday deals now, but if you think about sort of that core weekend, that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and even there's now a story for Tuesday for some brands, the question of which day should you really focus on? Where's the biggest volume opportunity? And so we did a little research on this as we were kind of looking into it for ourselves. We sort of mapped out our previous clients and their performance over the previous years. And then looked at sort of general market data as well. And I think Cyber Monday last year for the first time outperformed Black Friday online. So I think a little over 3 billion was what happened online for Cyber Monday, and about 2.75-ish on Black Friday. But one of the weird trends within that was that there was actually a higher volume of e-commerce revenue on mobile on Black Friday than there was on Cyber Monday. Maybe that's because people are out actually in physical retail stores comparing and making purchases, not entirely sure. But that trend, they're both obviously massive volume days. And then, you know, that Saturday is what they call Small Business Saturday. And then you have Tuesday, which is Giving Tuesday. And so each of them sort of has a different story and an opportunity to figure out where your brand fits best. Obviously, if you are strictly an e-commerce brand, and you don't have any retail stores, there's sort of Cyber Monday is the day that's sort of built for you. If you have sort of broad omni-channel distribution and you're trying to kind of tell a cohesive story across all of them, maybe there's varying deals from Black Friday to Cyber Monday to, and then if you're a small business, I think there's an opportunity to engage around that story on Saturday, and if you're a brand that has any charitable component, then Tuesday comes into it. And so what you end up with is you end up with a curve that looks something like this, where from Friday to Saturday, back up to Monday, and then even Tuesday, you have this moment where Friday is sort of this peak, then Saturday and Sunday drop down, and then Monday picks back up. So when you think about it, your planning, your inventory allocation, your budget setups, just make sure you're leaving yourself the opportunity to capitalize along that curve. But both Friday and Monday are big days, but more and more e-commerce specific is moving towards Monday. So hopefully that helps.
Cool. Moving on to the second question. Is it better to go all in or to hedge your bets?
So it's funny, the number one debate that we have with our clients right now is how much budget should we allocate towards this specific weekend in total. And if you guys have read, if you haven't yet, Corey, another link up, we're going to throw up the Genius Genie and the infinite ad budget, because one of the things that we want to make sure that people are thinking about is don't think about this in terms of a cap. Think about this in terms of available, profitable volume. So I'll say that again, available, profitable volume. And the idea is just that if on Black Friday you're converting at 3 or 4x your normal rate, then you want to take as much traffic as you can possibly get and drive it in on that day. And so when you say, do you go all in? I say you go as far as possible. So the last thing that you want is to have an ad budget, whether that's in your Google segment or in Facebook, that caps out at noon on Black Friday. Right? So if you're scaling up your ad budgets, make sure you move them to a volume that allows you to capture value, and then watch it throughout the day. The beauty of kind of the systems that we have in place in today's world is that you can be reactive. It's not like you bought a big ad placement on ESPN.com or on ESPN TV and you're just waiting for the ads to run and hope they return. You get to literally sit and watch all day. And so if it's 2 p.m. on Friday and you're crushing it and you're converting it profitably and you're hitting a CPA target that's within your range, make sure that you continue to chase the volume as much as is available to you. And so sit down and have that conversation with your marketing team, have that conversation with your director of finance, whoever it is, to understand that, hey, approaching this with a fixed budget really might limit our ability to capture as much value as possible on this day. And so do you go all in? You go as far as the market will let you, and that's always kind of the answer. And I think that with that really high purchase intent, there's a big opportunity to grab a lot of really profitable value for people on these days. And so just the biggest key I would say to take away is don't cap yourself by having budgets cap out in the middle of the day when you're making a lot of money. So just keep that in mind.
Great. The third question is, what about post-holiday follow-up? How do I maximize the value of all my new customers?
So this is my favorite question. This is actually a question that came up last night in the group setting as well. And what this question really reflects to me is genuine care about your customers, right? Like this is not a season to exploit, right? What this is a season to take a time when purchase intent is high and introduce your brand, but still focus on developing meaningful relationships. And so when you're thinking about how you work on the lifetime value post that initial purchase, like a lot of us are giving discounts, and so to realize the value of this acquisition, it's probably going to happen later on because we're giving a significantly discounted purchase on Black Friday or Cyber Monday, and so we really do have to focus on that long-term relationship. And so I would say right now, if alongside whatever email promotion you have or whatever digital marketing you have going on, ask yourself, what is my post-purchase transactional email flow for all of these customers that's going to increase their lifetime value? Ask yourself that right now and go and focus. If you haven't built that yet, go and do it and make it awesome. I'm currently infatuated with post-purchase transactional email flows. I think it's a huge way to create really, really special experiences for your customers. And three of the ways that, if you listen to any of our stuff, you'll hear me use these words a lot, but mission, magic, and money. Like that's kind of the framework that we use for thinking about content, any content, whether that's video content or post-purchase email flows. And the idea is, how can you reinforce the mission of your company? How can you explain to people why you exist, why they should continue to be a part of your brand? And then magic, how do you give them a serendipitous moment that they didn't expect? Whether that's a letter from your founder, whether that's a call from an ambassador. How do you give them a moment of sort of magic that they didn't expect from your brand? And then money, how do you ultimately turn that initial purchase into future purchases? So do the homework to figure out, like, customers who buy A are most likely to buy B. Get that cross-sell, upsell into your workflow and start planning that out. And one of the people here last night brought up a great point that a lot of times we wait for this sort of 6-month mark, or we're really kind of sort of scared to ask for that second purchase. And I think you can do it a lot earlier on than you might think, obviously depending on your product. But don't be afraid to start to plan out not just the first purchase for this weekend, but when you're going to turn it into a second purchase. Maybe you can motivate them into a gift for a friend for holiday. Maybe you can make a recommendation to buy for their child or their spouse or their friend or something along the way, using that post-purchase email flow that's just going to make Black Friday and Cyber Monday even more valuable for you. So as usual, care about your customers. That's the key. Hopefully these are helpful. We'll keep bringing more questions to you guys as we get them, and we appreciate you. Would love comments and feedback. Thanks.